Hello, happy Sunday. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to my channel, Peace Love Jen. I'm Geneva, and this is
I'm
Hannah.
Hannah.
Woo! We're here to talk about Survivor Syracuse, Season 2 Snakes and Secrets, episodes 12 and 13, which are interesting ones. I think we're probably going to touch more on 13 because I feel like that one more happens in that one. But I at least wanted to go over some like main points in episode 12 and just kind of talk about the last tribal that happened on campus before we went virtually on Zoom for Final Six. Um, so basically, for Final Seven, you have the five. So you have Derek, Mike, Addie, Austin, myself, Summer, and Erica. And basically, we compete in an endurance challenge, which involves basically balancing Gatorade on a plank. Um, and it was a very interesting challenge. I think I was more focused on getting the Gatorade than the actual competition. But essentially, it went on for a decent period of time, and it really came down to Derek and Erica. They were going at it for a while. Literally during this point, which you don't really see in the edit, me and Addie and like a couple other people are like, Derek, stop looking at Erica and focus on your plank. You're not dropping this Gatorade. You have to win immunity. We cannot risk Erica winning. And it became very clear that Erica was like, I am not going home this week. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to work as hard as I can. But due to some technicalities with how she was holding her wrists and then like the plank like touching her butt and stuff like that, which as you saw, Luke was watching Derek and Erica. It ended up being called that Erica was disqualified from the challenge. So Derek won immunity. And Derek ended up giving Mike the idol clue, which I guess isn't really that much of a shocker. But I also feel like if you're trying to maybe get rid of the perceived duo, which maybe they're not, I don't know. I just thought it was strange.
No, so he had to give it to somebody else, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, he knows he can trust Mike, but now they're closer than ever. He's sharing a clue with him. I don't know. I think I would have given it to Addie because at this point, I don't think for Derek, is Addie going to go look for the idol? I can trust, I would give it to the person that would do the least amount of work to find the idol at this point, which I think the cast perceives to be Addie, whether that be true or not. But you don't want, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it
Because
was
he's just
strange.
giving more, he's just giving Mike, his buddy, who's playing a very similar game. Like they're playing the same game because it's like partners. He's just giving Mike more of a resume.
Yeah, I feel like the only difference between Mike and Derek in the game is that Mike is at least doing a bit more interaction with the five itself and trying to talk about strategy. I feel like Derek kind of took more of a backseat, which is fine. He was focusing on school, and I think school's important. But like, we got a lot of texts, from Derek who'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not pulling my weight," things like that. So
yeah, you're just manifesting that into the universe. You're not gonna. Oh my god, that's so cringy. I would not. Okay.
yeah, so that happened a lot more like around final 10 and 9. He would say those sorts of things in text. So I think it became kind of clear that I think a lot of it was like,
Even in pre-merge, he would be like, "Oh, sorry guys, sorry, I was a little like sneaky. I'm gonna be like play a loyal game from now on. Like I promise." Like that kind of energy.
Mhm.
Like, okay,
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. And so Summer basically feels pretty comfortable this week because of what went on in the Final Seven challenge. Summer, I guess, had mentioned also in her confessional post the challenge that she didn't she actually went to work out and stuff. Oh, also, Mark, thank you so much for watching and thank you for supporting. I appreciate it. We'll definitely get into that super soon. I I was very upset with people taking out my friends, especially Nasan and Hannah. So I had to, take out a bunch of people, which is kind of what happened essentially. Um, but
I
yeah,
made a meme.
essentially,
I
you
made a meme
know,
about it.
you made a meme. Oh, I love that.
Remember, I made and like Geneva's like the Grim Reaper, and like everybody else is killed one by one. Continue. I'm trying to find
Yes.
the.
So Summer had been communicating with Derek and Mike, basically from about final 8 because she knew that Sean, her, and Erica were on the bottom, and she needed to survive. So if it meant trying to form new relationships with other people to survive another week or another vote, Summer was willing to do it. But basically, the bridges were burned between me, Addie, and her. So she was never really going to reach out to us again, especially after the final 8 vote. So Summer feels okay because Erica is kind of perceived to be the competition threat at this point. So she doesn't feel like she's going home. And Austin at this point feels like the 5 is pretty solid and basically thinks that he's in the middle of 2 duos, those 2 duos being me and Addie and Mike and Derek. And I feel like at this point, that's an accurate assessment. Mike and Derek are clearly super tight. And then from what we've seen in the season, Addie and I had been doing a lot together in the game. And from what a lot of people don't actually know that didn't show up in the edit, Addie actually formed a final 2 with me like in the very early part of the merge, but it never really made it into the edit. But that was like a huge component of our relationship, and not only did we strategize a lot together in the game, we hung out a lot with each other outside of the game,
Yeah.
which I think kind of sets up
I
what
was there.
happens in the next episode.
I was there. I saw it.
Hannah was part of the reason that happened.
It was a thing. I promise. Geneva's not just making this up.
No, I'm not. And Hannah's part of the reason that it kind of started setting in motion.
Yeah,
from
I got
a week
voted out
before.
and I realized I miss people. Does anyone want to get Popeyes? Come to my South Campus apartment. We'll watch Love is Blind. And that's what we did. And then Addie and Geneva, who are still, I think Mitch was also there, but Addie and Geneva, who were still in the game. And then Megan got voted out. So it was like a couple of us were like out, but then you guys were still in the game and you were like, yo, I don't know. That's a real good alliances start. Like you gotta hang out.
Absolutely.
You gotta like shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would say that we couldn't necessarily do that per se, considering Addie was a freshman, but
freshmen. I wasn't even 21 at that point, but
right. Yeah. Most people in the game were between 18 and 20.
And like go tailgate together, go party together, go. And we couldn't because, COVID kind of just happened. But so you're talking about, your final 2 with Addie. We don't really see it, but it is there. How does that affect the vote Erica's vote?
Yeah, so there are a couple things that happen right before this Final 7 tribal. So Derek actually films a vlog where he claims that I was very mad, angry at him for winning immunity, which is not true at all. I was literally encouraging him to beat Erica. So I don't know where he got that idea from, but he said I looked super mad when he won immunity and gave the idol clue to Mike and all this sort of stuff. And apparently, I think a lot of this stems from the fact that Mike told Derek some information I spoke to Mike about in the past about Final 5 in the future. Because what ended up happening at Final 10, when the Andrew vote happened, was Mike was very paranoid that I was not going to vote with them and that I was going to vote him because that's what Abby and Summer told me to do. I don't know. There's a lot of Mike's paranoia, I think, that leads to a lot of chaos in this game.
Yeah.
But the thing was, I was like, Mike, I'm literally handing you an idol right now, so I think it should be, I feel like obvious that like I have huge trust in you. I literally told him the only 2 people I mainly trust in this game were him and Addie, because Addie and him were the only two people who hadn't done anything to me. And so we were talking about going to the end together. And then he's like, okay, well, like, like who would we target like at 5? And I was like, well, probably Derek, because I hear he has favor with the jury. And so Mike told Derek about that. So then Derek just feels like I had this huge vendetta to get him out. And then I've been trying to get him out for weeks, which is not true because I don't actually even have a vlog that has been shown in any episode where I say that I'm gunning for Derek. So yes, I mentioned it. I'm like, well, out of the 5 people, I trust Derek the least because Derek literally called Mitchell at that 4-person before tribal and told him, I will give you an idle clue and if you vote out Geneva. So I had reason to not trust Derek.
Yeah. No, I think this is all a reflection of Mike's behavior, right? Derek's just along for the ride, but Mike is intentionally stirring the pot, trying to create chaos that he thinks he can climb out of. Bold. But now, like, I think it's funny, if Mike ever goes and plays other games, like, people will clock him, like, you don't, like, he didn't have to say that to Derek, right? Until it benefited him. You right? If you want to vote Derek out at 5, that only helps Mike because then he is a guaranteed spot to Final 4.
Exactly.
And he's not pegged as a duo at Final 4 because he gets rid of his, like, sidekick that everyone, like, no one's going to let them get to the end together.
No. And that's where I was kind of...
You don't want to go to the end with your final 2 because you played too similar of a game. Like, he played too similar of a game. If it was a Final 3, which I don't know if they've clarified what it's going to be yet.
It's a Final 2 and it was clarified at Final 8.
Okay. Well, if it was a Final 3, they played 2 similar games. Someone could slip through and win. Like, also, Mike needs Derek's vote on the jury. Like, and he's guaranteed to vote for him because that's the only game that Derek has cared to pay attention to. Oh, so many things. But yeah, I don't understand why Derek is getting mad at you. Like, thinks that, I feel like that's probably, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think a huge component of it was Mike, and I feel like it's, like, unfortunate to think about how, like, talking to Mike to establish trust with Mike is leading to problems for me in the game, when in reality it's like, I don't know, it's a very complex situation because if I didn't work with Mike, Mike probably would have come for me. And I think Mike started to realize in the game that I was important for his game to move forward. Lenny group.
No, in this situation, I don't think there's anything that you could have done better as far as, like, not working with Mike, whatever. It just comes down to the people that, unfortunately, the people that are cast. You need to make sure that the people you get stuck in these Final 7, Final 6, Final whatever, like, small situations with, that they have respect for you. And they don't. Like, if who you're working with doesn't respect you and all that you've done enough to put that paranoia aside and value trust, like, it's a constant balance. So I think he's just very self-serving, and that's the bottom of it. And he doesn't,
Does that make sense? Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense.
I don't think there's anything you could have done better in those conversations, it sounds like. But so Derek vlogs, he's like, ooh, Geneva was mad, what next?
Yeah, so Derek at this point at Final 7, he's like, probably I might be able to target Geneva next. Summer's been talking to me, so maybe I have more flexibility to make a move at 6 with Mike to get Geneva out. So there are rumblings about targeting me at Final 7. Now, this is the funny part of the episode that I loved. And this part of the episode was Addie and myself were looking for the idol that, Mike got the other clue to. It was about the 2 L's being up in the air, whatever, that weird clue. And we were looking around campus near the Maxwell School, which is where I have my MPA classes and stuff, and Eggers Hall. And I'm looking around, and all of a sudden, I find this bag, and I open the bag, and it's Hannah's fake idol clue to find her fake idol.
Mm-hmm.
And so Addie and I have this conversation. Addie's confused on why there's a clue but no idol. And I was like, it's a clue to find the idol. And then I was just like, Hannah's impact at this point in the game. Her fake idols are still living on. Clearly, it made a big move at
Think about
Final
all
9.
the plastic bags still on that campus somewhere.
Who knows where those things are? But that was just such a funny moment, and I loved it. And so I was like, I have to film this and send it in, and that is why. And that's why I submitted it. And the clue actually matched where the first Lenny idol was found, which is what's kind of really funny.
Isn't that great?
So
it's production. It's like production knew what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like they put the real idols right next to my fake idols. What? Yeah.
Yes. So what ended up happening after that is there's one point where Addie and I split up. We're like, okay, we might be more productive to find the idol if we like separate like a little bit, but we were still looking with each other. But at that time, Addie found the last in-person idol on campus, but she didn't tell me about it. So she found the idol. She explains it kind of in her vlog where she found it, but she was also kind of like, I'm not good at explaining. But ultimately, she's like, I don't know who to tell, but I feel like this idol is going to get me to Final Four. So I'm like super excited. She said she ends up telling Mike about the idol. Mike is mad that Addie found it and not him, but he's glad that he knows about it.
Okay, let me just say, Mike is, because I got people in this game, the idol jealousy is real. The idol envy. Because I was like, Erica got the idol, I didn't. And then Mike, since then, has been like every time he gets an idol, he can't be happy for anybody. And also, if you don't have the idol, make the person with the idol do what you want. You practically have it. I feel like that's a better move, is to be able to say, I got exactly what I wanted, and I didn't have to even touch or hold the idol. I didn't have to find it. I didn't have to work for it, but everything I wanted happened.
Having an idol is a lot of responsibility, and
it's also a big red flag. Like, it's a big red flag to everybody else in the game if you have an idol, because that is a physical. That's like a physical object or embodiment of your move. Is that, which normal players don't have. Like, people that don't have idols don't have that. They don't have like a, look, I had an idol. Look, I found an idol. Look, I went outside and I made my game better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's funny.
And then Erica does vlog about how she just wanted to have one, individual immunity, and so it was disappointing to not achieve that. Now the one main thing I want to bring up about this episode before we go into episode 13 is, in this episode, Mike feels super, super paranoid that I'm going to flip and that maybe Austin might flip, because he's like, oh, it's good for Austin and Geneva's game to flip. So I feel like Geneva's probably going to flip. And I don't know. I
don't know why it's good for your game at all.
I don't think it's good for my game at all to flip, honestly.
At this point, if you had an idol, sure. But you don't. I do not. And he knows this. He knows that Addie has it. So at this point, it's in everybody's best interest to just actually take it easy and vote off Summer. Because it's obvious. I feel like Addie is starting to work more with Mike and Derek than with you and Austin. And they easily have the numbers at 5. They don't need to keep Summer to do so. And they don't need to give Summer false hope to do so. Which is, I think, what they're doing right now, which is more harmful when you're dealing with a jury, is giving someone false hope and then voting them off and being like, oh, we just used you for a vote.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. Just vote the people out if you're
And
not
it's
going to
messed up
utilize.
too. The
Yeah.
people in the alliance that they're backstabbing to do so, like
Mm-hmm.
that they're saving Summer to backstab. Like that's like, wow, you didn't respect me enough to take me to. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what ends up happening is that essentially Mike and Addie form this plot because now that Addie has an idol, that Addie's going to contact me shortly before tribal council to ask if I'm willing to flip and potentially make a move and vote out Mike or something of that sort. And then if I agree to it, they would like play an idol on Mike and then I guess catch me in the crossfire and then I'd be embarrassed for betraying and whatnot, whatever. Which honestly is very messed up. I'm going
That's
to
kind
be honest.
of sadistic. They're like wanting to humiliate you.
And yeah, it was weird. So what ends up happening is you see this vlog. You probably saw this vlog in like in the early season preview before the season even came out. But there's a vlog of me leaving my academic building and I'm walking to tribal council. And I start vlogging about how Addie contacted me to meet her in person about 20-30 minutes prior to tribal because she wants to talk about a plan. Now, at this point, I'm a bit frustrated because I've had multiple conversations with Addie about the prospect of potential of flipping, and none of them were ever really fully serious per se. It was just more to test the waters to see what she would be potentially interested in doing. Like, I never would say, "Oh, I want to flip and vote out so and so." Like, there was
No.
never anything like that. It was just be like, "What would you think about flipping at this point?" And then
Yeah.
she'd be like, no, Geneva, like, that's not a good idea. We should just stick with our 5. Like, it's stupid. Let's not do anything like we don't need to be doing, yada, yada, yada. So by her coming to me 25-30 minutes before tribal and telling me, oh, let's do something different when it's clear we should just be voting out Erica, I'm just like, absolutely not. So when I went up to her, I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not changing my mind. I'm not flipping. I'm sticking with the 5 until final 5, like the plan. And so
they test you and you're like, you passed the test. And they're like, shit,
I did.
we wanted Geneva out.
And I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that. And so then at tribal council, 5 of us vote Erica. Erica votes me and Summer votes Addie. So Erica is voted out. And, Erica had a solid run, honestly. Like she had a lot that happened in the game.
It's kind of incredible that she made it this far. Like, she got very lucky.
Yeah. And, I in some ways, like watching the game outside looking in, removing myself from the game, like I do feel bad for her that she like didn't really have much agency at the merge. Like she would try to tell people like her opinion, which I think in some ways was accurate. And unfortunately, people didn't listen to her when it probably would have been
I feel bad because I feel like she had a lot of potential in this game. And she got in situations or she had blackouts when she had to make big decisions that like it seems like she was one of the Maroon 5 Alliance that like knew what was what and was a little on like closer to Jack and like, as I dare to say, maybe even as smart as Jack when it comes to this game. But I don't think this game allowed her to show that. And I don't think she aligned herself with the right people.
I think part of that too, honestly, though, had to do with her connection to Jack in the game. And I think that kind of restrained her ability to thrive in the game. Even though he left when he did, it just kind of...
I think she made really like awesome friendships. But when you do that and you sacrifice, you might sacrifice your game in the process, which it might be worth it in the long run. But I'd like to see her play a game where she's, you can make friends, you can have your friends, but you can still play the game. You can still, it doesn't have to be a tribal game. It doesn't have to be about, oh, I don't like them. So you're not going to be polite to them. Like that's not Survivor.
So one more thing I want to touch on about Erica before I move on to episode 13 was that when she did the episode 12 after show, she did want to note that even though in a vlog in episode 12, she did say that she would never give me like her jury vote or Addie her jury vote. In reality, she said that wasn't true about me. Like she honestly really respected my game. And that's also another reason why she didn't vote me out in that 3-person tribal council with her, Mitch, and and myself was because she respected my game. And I think a lot of people don't actually know that I had a lot of communication with Erica. We met in person. We talked for an hour and a half about the game. And it was unfortunate how the game went for us, because I feel like we were not necessarily, like, even though I had some power at the merge, I still wasn't in like a huge, like, at the top of an alliance or anything like that. So I feel like, unfortunately, we were both like not necessarily in power positions to, like, I guess, have impact in a different way. So like I feel like maybe we could have done stuff at the merge, but I think we were kind of in weird positions, and at that point we just were not working together. Because I do always like think about it, like, what if I actually did generally work with Eric at the merge? What would that have been like? Because I think it probably would have been an interesting experience, especially after Jack had left the game.
I think it would have been. No, I think working with Erica and Jack would have been. It's just when there's an alliance that is unwavering, that doesn't reach, like, you, it's rough. It was rough with the circumstances and the situations of this particular game, but I think if any of them played again or played different games, that they'd excel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially Erica and Jack. I think they'd excel. Because they're not stupid. I mean, they may not, their favorite Survivor players may be interesting takes, but they're not stupid. So that's good.
Yeah. And so that's basically, Erica goes home. So that's basically our discussion of episode 12. Now, episode 13. So that Final 7 Tribal took place like about a day or two before like the national lockdown and quarantine period. So essentially a lot of us were like, okay, bye. Maybe I'll see you after spring break in a couple weeks or something, whatever.
When you left campus, did you know what was happening with the game?
So we thought maybe there could be a possibility of us returning to campus. We didn't know. We said that at least, Luke did say, in that episode 12, that we would at least finish the season, regardless of how that is. But then once I finally got home for break, Syracuse basically said that, oh, we're going to be remote maybe for next week. And then they're like, no, we're going to be remote for the rest of the semester. And then my master's program was like, we're going to be remote till June graduation.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm like
that. It's been like that at Syracuse University for a while. We weren't remote this past semester until like 2 weeks after Halloween, if that gives you guys a perspective of what was happening here. But I think it'll go. I think there might be some more remote play. So, yes. So you go online, but the episode starts with you and your vlog. You're so happy to have finally and appreciate to have made it this far.
Well, it kind of starts with that. It actually starts with some of the aftermath of the previous tribal. And so Mike was like, well, Geneva, she didn't flip. She wasn't betraying us. And I'm like, obviously no. But he was like, but maybe next week he could get Geneva out, maybe with Summer and Derek. He's basically aligned with everybody. Maybe he could be taken through to the end with everybody. Final 5 would be tough, but he could probably get there.
What's Austin doing? We need to talk about that this episode, because we haven't talked about Austin once.
We will get to Austin, because I feel like Austin.
Like, Mike just said like what you just said, like Mike's aligned with everyone, but I'm like, Austin's just sitting there. What is Austin doing?
Well, Austin, the one thing that I did mention about Austin in the last episode was he talked about how he's in the middle of a 5. But he doesn't really know where that's going to take him. But I definitely have more from Austin in this episode. So Derek feels really surreal that this could be the last in-person challenge. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He's in a pretty good spot. We'll see. Summer's like, she's happy to make the final 6. She's been talking to Derek and Mike the last 2 weeks. So she said that in case she would win immunity, she would vote with them. She's on the outs, but she's not giving up yet. And Derek, Mike, and her have a good relationship. And she told Jack and Andrew about it, may tell other people on the jury about it. but she's still there fighting. And then Austin says that he's in an interesting spot socially. These are the vlogs now where we're officially in quarantine. So this is where we have gone remote and we're all in our respective homes. He says, we can't meet with people in person. And then we're in an interesting position of this game where you don't want to throw out names or things too soon and provoke people too soon and scheme when you don't have to. Austin wants to be able to secure his safety with other people, but he doesn't want to have to throw somebody under the bus and get in trouble for that. He doesn't want to create unnecessary drama before he has to. But he does not want to let Summer get any further. If she gets to the end, she will win. Which I think is a very good point. Summer has all her friends on the jury.
Yeah, the jury is stacked with Summer's friends, and that's something, regardless of gameplay, you cannot ignore. Yeah. And they've seen her game closely, perhaps more closely than your game, so they're more likely to award their votes there,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Summer, she gives her update for home. She mentions how everything is online due to COVID. It sucks not being in person, and it's more fun to compete next to people like in person. And she wishes she could complete the season on campus, and she thanks Zoom very much for keeping us going. Now, what Hannah was talking about is my famous COVID vlog. So production actually asked us to film a vlog about COVID, our feelings about the pandemic and things that were going to be happening. So this was like late March around when I filmed this vlog. So essentially, I'm like, I don't know when this video is going to be shown. I hope that we're not physically distancing from one another. These last 2 weeks have been stressful, emotional, confusing. I thank Luke in production for, allowing me to be part of the season. There have been crazy twists. It really is unfortunate. I can't graduate in June in person and finish my capstone in person. I talk about Jackbox, which we find out is going to be the next challenge. I talk about how there are some Jackbox games I've played that I have experience playing. And so I'm hoping that one of those games that I've played before is one that Luke will do for the challenge, because if so, then I will have a huge advantage. But I talk about it's going to be crazy to manage life in the game and everything else going on. But I, give some uplifting words to how we should approach the pandemic and how we should be supportive of one another. So I'm not going to go too much in depth about the Jackbox challenge. That's a lot, honestly. Like there's not too many details to really bring up about that. But what I can say is the first part of the challenge where everyone competed in, and then like the 3 people who won, like the first 3 rounds of it would advance to play Trivia Murder Party. So Trivia Murder Party is the game that I love and knowingly love. But unfortunately, I did not make it to that segment. I came in second the one round where Summer won, and actually we had a practice round where I won the practice round, but then I guess I don't know what happened beyond that. But basically that first challenge involved us making up lies and then people guessing what the true answer was, and there were a lot of these really weird
whatever.
Yeah, it's like a lot of these really weird things, like a Florida man did da 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 da, and then you fill in the blank with a fake answer, and then if people guessed your fake answer, you would get points, that sort of thing. So Mike ends up winning immunity, and Mike gives Austin the idol clue. Do you have any thoughts about any of this?
Okay, good job, Mike. Not giving it to Derek. Good job, Mike. But is Derek a little miffed?
Well,
but Austin, Mike, how close are you with Austin? Are you really that close with Austin that you can trust to give him the idol clue? Because do you really want Austin having an idol at 5?
Good question. So Mike, in his vlog after this challenge, says he's glad that Summer didn't win, didn't want there to be chaos and tension between the alliance, but it's not an alliance anymore. We can't do anything. I would have had to betray someone. But I'm trying to betray Geneva, though. When you're forced to do something, people will see where your allegiance lies. But I'm like, okay, you're not being forced to vote me out, but you're choosing to do it, which is showing where your allegiance lies. So this vlog makes no sense. That's what I have to say.
So he's saying in the vlog that he wants to betray you?
He basically says he wants to betray me, but the issue is that, like, if Summer won, then it would be obvious that there was a lot of betrayal going on. So I guess it didn't really make any sense, honestly.
It already is obvious. The moment that you vote out Geneva before Summer, it's very obvious that you're a douchebag. Like, I'm sorry. Like, your character can't get through this because you suck. you still suck either way. Like, what? He's just trying to save face, right? Save. I think that's the. But you have his number. Everyone sees this. So what?
Yeah.
What's next?
So to continue with this vlog, he talks about how he gave Austin the idol clue. He said he really can't give it to Derek, but he mentions though that Addie actually wants to vote Derek out before Geneva, which I think is a very interesting tidbit. But we see what happens later on. But he says that if I give the idol clue to Addie, she's going to give it to Geneva. And then if I give it to Geneva, Derek would be confused because the plan is to vote out Geneva. So Mike is hoping
why would Addie give it to you?
I guess because we're supposedly close, so he would worry about giving it to me.
So if Addie was working with Mike and Derek, Addie could literally give you a fake clue. She could literally.
She could have.
She doesn't. So I don't know what. I think he would have given it to Addie because Addie already has an idol.
Well, maybe he doesn't want Addie to have two idols, which is could.
Honestly, he should have given it to the person that he wants to vote out, to put a target on their back.
Right.
He should have given it to Summer to mix things up.
Or something. I don't know. So he says he hopes Austin shares a clue with him. Luke apparently had to change the idol clue because of some weird Club Penguin configuration issue. And then Mike says if he finds a clue that he'll make it to Final Four. Or he finds the idol. So then I say, I guess it was best for my game not to win immunity. I've already made a lot of big moves. If I won immunity, that would put a huge target on my back for Final Five. Mike did win immunity, which I'm happy about, which is what I said. And he gave Austin the idol clue. I said, considering Summer didn't play an idol at Final 7, she most likely does not have an idol now. So my best move for this game is to vote Summer out for many reasons. But, obviously that was one. Summer talks about how the questions were whack in the challenge. She second guessed herself. She didn't really know how, Trivia Murder Party worked. She kind of wants to cry because it's inevitable that she's going next. All she's talked about is not giving up. Challenges we're doing, she says, are probably suited for the other alliance. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but...
What? Are you trying to call them nerds? What? Summer, stop it. Don't... Honey, just shut up.
So I talk again about how I'm looking forward to the Final Five. I don't know what strategy will happen between now and Thursday. Basically, I'm sure the four are going to tell me, like, oh, let's all vote out Summer because she doesn't have an advantage. I said, we never came up with an alliance name. I don't know why, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore because, we're going to have to turn on each other. I wish I got to play Trivia Murder Party, but sadly I didn't because that would have been my challenge. So, but alas, it didn't happen. So Derek, like you mentioned, was not happy with Mike.
Of course.
He said that Mike was stupid for giving the clue to Austin. And apparently he texted Austin to ask for the clue. Austin says the clue is going to take 1 to 2 hours. Luke said he needs to rewrite it because they need to reconfigure the map. So then Derek feels like that's a lie. So then Derek texts Luke and is like, did you send out the clue yet? Luke's like, I can't tell you that information. And then Derek's like, well, did you have to rewrite the clue? And he's like, yeah, I did have to rewrite the clue. And so then he's like, oh, I guess Austin isn't lying then. So basically, Austin does send the clue to everybody afterwards. And Mike thinks he knows where it is, and he thinks that he knows where the clue fits. If it was somewhere else, then I guess he wouldn't have done a horrible job. Then we see footage of me and Mike looking for the idol on Club Penguin. Mike mentions Austin sends me the clue after that delay, and talked about the lighthouse. He sent the picture to Luke, but then Luke responded and said that there's no idol there. So he's like, okay, well, that probably means that Austin had the idol. Because basically what ended up happening is when we would send a screenshot to Luke, if they're like, if the idol was present, like you would say, like the first person to find it would be like, you get congrats, you found the idol. But like, even if you found it in the correct spot, but you were like the second person to screenshot that, he would say the idol isn't there. So that was a way of saying, like, he couldn't say like, no, you didn't get it. It was just more like the idol isn't there.
So what if you guessing? So if you went to like the hot tub and you took a screenshot, would it say the idol isn't there? Or
yeah, so like
same wording.
Yeah, so Luke would be pretty consistent with how he worded like the rejection, even if that was the correct spot, but someone found the idol already, because he wouldn't tell you that someone found the idol already.
Yeah, you have to be pretty certain where you're looking.
Exactly. And so we do find out basically that Austin, once he got the idol clue, he went to look for it himself. He sent the screenshot. And then, like, he shows his text conversation with Luke, and it says, "Congrats, Gummy Vitamin," which was his username. You found the immunity idol.
Gummy Vitamins. What an icon.
Yeah, so I love that so much. That was so cute. So yeah, so Austin found the idol. Mike and I looked, but at that point we're like, okay, probably Austin has it. But Derek starts to get worried because he's like, well, Austin's really strong at challenges. I'm really mad at Mike right now. Austin probably found it. He's like, told you, Mike, you should have given it to me. Also, the clue for people, if you were wondering, it was a red light is what you seek, but it isn't the red light. It's the thing you peek. Take a picture near me, but be wary of shocks. Search high and low, and maybe you'll hear the flocks. So it's that lighthouse, the telescope, and then there was the red light you could see when you look through the telescope. So Austin vlogs. He says he's not safe this week in terms of having the immunity necklace, but he has the clue and he has the idol. He shouldn't have to play the idol. So hopefully he'll be able to hold on to it till final 5. He can determine.
Wait, Austin has immunity?
No, he says he doesn't have the immunity necklace, but he has an idol. No. So he was saying basically that if he makes it to final 5, he can automatically make the final 4 if he plays on himself. But if he wins immunity at 5, then he can choose who he wants to play it on to bring them to final 4 with him.
Yeah.
So he's like, if I'm safe at tribal at final 5, maybe I could play it on Mike or somebody else. I don't know. And then have a partner coming into final 4 who will be loyal to me. If I'm not safe next week, it'll probably be like a 2-2 vote, just as long as the loyalty pays off. He's in a power position. He will hold on to being the only one who knows that he has the idol. He mentions how he texted Geneva, so me, and he texted Mike asking us, like, oh, who should you send, like, who should the clue go out to? And basically Mike and I both responded like, oh, you shouldn't send the clue out all at once, because I guess, we wanted to have time to find the idol. And so basically Austin is trying to figure out who he should work with moving forward so he doesn't get blindsided.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
That's a good.
He doesn't want to give out too much information, but he's like, I'm going to take in information. I'm going to message people, see where their head's at, maybe see like who would they save, or like who do they want to keep in the game, and see how that helps me move.
I feel like that's pretty obvious though. Like, except for you, Summer, and Addie, I feel like Mike and Derek are pretty clear. That's pretty transparent. Yeah. Like, we'll peg you and Addie together, and then Summer sitting there.
Just chilling.
Chilling.
Yeah. So this is where things get crazy.
Oh
So
no.
Derek got off the phone with Mike and Addie. They set up a call with Addie to basically be like, she's been our third number this whole time, and we want to let her know that we trust her. But they want to pitch the I can't even talk. Pitch the potential of voting someone out, but they don't want to be the one to initiate it. They only want to go along with it if maybe like Addie would be the one to bring it up to them. So he basically says, I would feel really bad about voting out Geneva, but she's been trying to get me out for a number of weeks. She's wanted me out for Final Five, like at Final Five or whatever. So Addie said that we need to go for Geneva. It's the only week that Geneva feels super comfortable, and we'll tell Summer that she should vote for Austin. And then Addie goes, I don't know why we're doing this. And then basically, we're going to vote for Geneva. I trust Mike and Derek 70%, but there's always that 30%. I'm going to tell them that at Final Five, I'll be playing my idol, so they won't go behind my back. And so that is her plan to get to Final Four. So
but that's the thing is that, like, if I knew that she was going to play her idol at 5 and she's telling me that, I would take out Addie now so that there's not, because there's 2 idols in the game. We know that Mike figures, okay, Austin must have one. I know Addie has the other. The last time they played, it's 5. Do you really want 2 people having guaranteed spots? You need to take out one of them so they don't take your spot. Because at Final Five, Derek and Summer would be the only. He either wants. I mean,
or like what if Summer won immunity at 5? Then it's between Mike and Derek.
That's bad. That's bad. And do you really think that Austin and Addie are going to be like, oh, let's vote out Derek? I don't, like, if we're talking about threats, Mike, you're dead. Like,
so Mike talks about, we're going to do a power move. We're going to do a 3-2-1 split vote. Tell Summer the vote is Austin. If she tells Austin that, we're voting for him, then Austin will vote with Summer. So then there'll be 2 votes on Derek or Addie. I don't know. Mike sounded a little confused when he said that. And then on Geneva, and then there would be 1 vote on Geneva or on Summer. Okay. Mike was a little confused. Point is, the goal he was basically trying to say is that, like, maybe one thing that they could do is get Austin to flush the idol that he just got. So that was their goal, was like,
that's
maybe
a good idea.
Right. But they were just doing this.
You know what they should have done? They should have had Addie run to Austin, say, Austin, I heard your name. I think Derek, Mike, and Summer are voting you. I think they want to blindside you. They instead blindside you. Austin flushes his idol. You go home. Best of both worlds.
Right. But the thing is that they were just hoping and relying on Summer potentially stirring the pot
and Summer
telling Austin.
Summer's sitting there like.
Summer's just like, okay, well, I'm told to vote out Austin. It makes sense. Austin's, he's a competition threat. So I'm going to vote him. And, like, I'm sure mostly everyone is.
Addie should have gone and done it. It means more from Addie. Anyway, what? You hear that from Summer, you're going to think that Summer's just lying.
Yeah. So Derek says that Summer said she'll vote with me no matter what. We're going to tell Summer that we're voting for Austin. So if Summer stirs the pot, then she'll play the idol. So then Austin will play the idol on himself. Geneva and Austin will vote for Summer 3-2-1. If someone tells Austin, then Austin will play the idol on himself, waste it, and that will happen. And, it's very interesting, though, because I do wonder if, like, I did get an inkling that I was getting voted out or something. I don't know, it would have been tough because like Summer and I were not working together. If maybe she was willing to do something, then maybe we could have like maybe done a 3-3 and then go to rocks. But like, I don't know, that just probably would have been a little too
That would have
dramatic.
been sexy. That would have been sexy. That would have been very entertaining.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think Summer's going to go to rocks for you.
Absolutely not. Which is why I'm like,
honestly, though, I think that would have been really cool. Like, that would have been a big redemption thing for Summer because it would have shown that, like, I don't know, it would have been just big balls all the way. It would have been the stuff that winners are made of. It wouldn't be. It also would have come a long way, I think, with you as a juror, and made up for a lot of the stuff that had the negativity that had happened so far.
right, absolutely. So Austin basically says Summer should be voted out, and there should be an idol in my pocket for final 5. And that basically Mike asked him what he's thinking for next week, and Austin's like, I don't know, I don't have any idea. And Austin's like, I don't need to, he doesn't want to be able to put out anything too soon or too early.
You're at final 5. You're at final 5. Austin, Austin, baby, you're at final 5. Like, I get it, but he's setting a pace for the game that is like gonna lead to a winner that is not playing, because that's not like, you're at come merge. You should, yes, keep your head down, but also you should be able to confidently say, this is who I want out.
I guess he was afraid he would get targeted at 6 instead, so he didn't want to risk saying anything before final 5.
Yeah, I guess we'll see if it works, but I think that's funny.
Right. So Mike talked with Addie and Derek all day, and Mike said that he's pretty sure we're doing the Geneva plan, and he hopes Austin plays his idol, and basically he's just gonna pray about it. He's just going to do as much as he can to have control. Basically say if he has to do damage control the next day and be like, oh, we thought you had an idol and didn't think you want to do anything. Or like Mike was also like, I'll just put the blame on Derek and Addie if he plays his idol and stuff like that. And then say that Derek said we can't tell Austin about the vote or what was going to happen. So Mike was already trying to think about the potential damage control that will come about at this vote because Austin is being blindsided with this vote as well. He is not being told about the plan because they're hoping that Austin will play the idol on himself. But that's really not going to happen unless Summer or Addie or somebody goes to Austin and be like, you're being targeted.
Yeah. They're just hoping.
I think there should have been better execution of that plan if that was a serious plan. So then Addie films this vlog and she's like, either I'm getting played or Geneva's going home. I trust Mike and Derek. I feel like everyone wants to win, so they'll say what they need to. I brought my idol for the final 6 tribal just in case. I feel like something is off. I hope to play it next week. I have a final 3 deal now with Mike and Derek. And the one thing that I am worried about and scared about is Geneva's reaction. I'm supposed to be like her closest ally in this game. Geneva played such a great game, but her only mistake is talking about her game, and that's literally the reason why she's going home. It's so weird that she does that. They finally got the message. Mike suggested not voting out Summer and voting out Austin. But I said Austin's not going to win in the end. And basically, so that's the plan I'm circling back to, and we're voting out Geneva.
I'm speechless.
Then I go.
So it seems like she believes that talking about your game or talking about moves that you may have made too much is a bad thing, or bringing up jury management or that kind of game talk is a bad thing, while she's like, oh, I have such a great game, nobody's seeing it, that's why it's so great.
So to address this, I did talk to Addie a few weeks prior about how the jury does not see her game at all. And so if she were to make it to final 2, she would have a challenge there. And she's like, no, if I make it there, then I'll just tell them my game and then they'll just have to believe me, basically. And I'm like, they have to see some of your game as well. Also, what she was saying is a little inaccurate. I was never telling Mike and Derek and Austin that I was playing a better game than them. I was saying, if anything, that one of the 3 of them need to bring me to the end because I'm losing 6 jury votes. The only person I talked about my game, about me playing a good game, is Addie. But I also told Addie that it's in her best interest for us to go to the end together because we have been told that if the guys go to the end with one of us, we will lose.
Yeah, you've been told that time and time again. You've been told time and time again by the jury that they hate you both the most. Like, so the only solution for one of you to win is for both of you to go together.
Like, they have no choice but to vote us.
Right, because of the jury that has made it very clear. But if you're not listening, yeah.
So I respectfully disagree with her on that statement. I did talk to her about my game because I thought we were close allies. Clearly not, but yeah, because I would tell her, yeah, like, I will go to the end with you because you're the villain and I'm the most secretly hated. So, like, my best shot would be with you, probably. And I think vice versa at the end of the day. Like, she is the villain of the season. She sent out personal anonymous texts. So people do not perceive her in the most positive light right now. So it is in her best interest to go to the end with me in this game. But she says that it is in her best interest to go to final 3 with Mike and Derek. And so that is a decision that she is making because she also feels like Austin has no shot at winning. Yeah. And then I go Geneva. Avenge. If you switch around the letters.
Avenge. If you switch around the letters in Geneva's name, it spells avenge.
I'm like, it's pretty crazy to get to vote out Summer. This would be the best move for my game. I hope that if I make it to final 2, the jury will respect my gameplay because my gameplay has been strategic. I haven't done anything personal. I want to avenge Nassan because he shouldn't have gone out when he went out. Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to avenge the people I lost pre-jury. So if I did that, if I voted out Summer successfully, then I would have basically gotten out everybody who voted out Hannah, which is pretty insane to think about. But basically, before this tribal council, Derek says, I go on a Zoom call with the other 4, Geneva, Addie, Mike, and Austin. Basically, this Zoom call was formed by me, Addie, and Mike to reassure Geneva and Austin that we're good and solid and that we're voting for Summer. And basically, Derek's like, I said that I've wanted to play an honest and loyal game, but in reality, he's not afraid to get down and dirty when he needs to.
Wow.
Hence the title of the episode. And
voted off week 1
on the Zoom call. I mean, I wonder what the season would have been like if he was actually voted out first.
Man. Me too.
It would have been much different. But one thing that I can say is on the Zoom call, he was emphasizing to me and Austin how Summer told him to come after one of us. But Derek's like, I'm not here to cater to the jury. I'm not going to do what they want me to do. I'm going to stick with my 5 and then target each other. And so I'm not going to do what you have to say. And even at the tribal, he says, but the jury is made up of people who voted me out. The remaining members of the jury, there are 4 people here. I really want to be honest with these guys and appeal to these guys. But basically, I should be also trying to appeal to the 4 people here. Right? So if he's talking about not wanting to appease a jury, so then why did the vote go the way that it did? So from what we saw with the vote, we heard some questions being asked. Even Luke was like, do you think there's a chance that you could be voted out, Geneva? And I was like, well, yeah.
Luke, no, you don't ask that question to the girl who's getting blindsided.
I know.
Oh
Also,
my
this is
God.
the one thing. Like, I love Luke, but Luke would always, if anything, Luke exposed my game more than like me exposing my game, because Luke would ask me questions about, you've been to this many tribal councils. How does it feel? And so I'd be like, Luke, like, you are the one
Don't
who's
remind
exposing
them.
my
Don't
game, and
remind
everyone knows.
them. I think that's also like don't ask the person going home, how do you feel if you went home right now? Like, what? What?
Adrian, thank you so much. Yeah, it was rough.
Aww.
It was a rough time, a rough moment. Yeah, I think I think definitely like our votes were the biggest blindsides of the season.
Yeah.
Arguably. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you see Austin's name, so I was like, who voted Austin? I was like, okay, well maybe that was Summer. And then I see Summer's name, and then I see my name, and I was like,
Geneva.
well, it wasn't precisely like that, but it was like Austin, Summer, Geneva, and then 14th person voted out.
Out of Syrvivor Syracuse, Geneva.
And then
Oh
he was like, do you have anything to say? And I was just like, I don't even remember what I said, but I was basically like, good luck or whatever. And I don't know. I literally had not much to say, and I was just like, you all suck.
No, I got voted out of an org today. And blindsided. I see my vote. I had a power, so I banked my vote for later. And I see Hannah, and I go, and I just leave. I just leave the Zoom. I'm just like, I don't say anything. I'm just like immediately, I'm like, okay, boom, that's over with. Like, wow.
Yeah.
It's rough.
So yeah, so the vote happened. So it was 3-2-1.
What's the first thing you did?
The first thing I did was,
after getting voted out.
So I actually recorded me writing down Summer's name, because I was supposed to record my vote, because the way it happened during tribal council was we were texting Luke our vote.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did was record me writing Summer for the edit. The second thing I did was film the exit confessional reaction 10 minutes after this tribal. So for those who saw, I was obviously in shock. I had no idea what happened, who voted me. I was like, Summer probably voted me out. I was like, maybe Austin voted me out.
No.
And I was just like, I don't know. And then you hear a ding from my laptop. I'm like, oh, there's my classmate from quantitative analysis messaging me about homework and stuff or whatever. I actually, after I filmed that confessional, actually ended up doing quantitative analysis homework with my classmate. So that's actually what I did. I went upstairs. I told my parents and my sister, I was like, I just got voted out. Then I get the text message from Addie. Some people might have seen the 14th person voted out footage that I filmed. I know that some people, they're going to be mixed feelings about this.
So I remember this day very well. So after I voted out, I just talked with Geneva about the game and how it's going. And so Geneva messages me and she's like, okay, I'm going to tribal tonight. It's like what, final? So I know she's going to tribal. I'm like, later in the day, I'm like, what if Geneva got voted out here? I bet Geneva's going to go home. No, she's not going to go home. She FaceTimes me. She's like, I just got voted out. And I'm like, what? I was like, okay, fuck this game. Because I was like, what was the worst thing that could possibly happen at this point in the game? And I was like, Geneva going home.
And honestly, for me, it's not about getting voted out. Like, I see that it's a move to vote me out. There's no issue with that. The issue was the timing of the vote. And I've stressed this many times in that post-exit confessional, that 14-minute version that's been uploaded onto YouTube by the Syrvivor Syracuse YouTube channel. I have emphasized this in the after show that I was on for Syrvivor Syracuse. You can go check that out. I haven't tweeted it out because I didn't want to spoil it for people who have not watched those episodes, because I know there are people a few episodes behind. But honestly, keeping Summer in the game when she has the entire jury on her side and has performed better in challenges. She's come in like in second, third place in multiple challenges.
It's dangerous.
that's dangerous to bring her to 5.
Especially when there's an idol unaccounted for, because Austin hasn't told anyone.
Correct.
But like, Summer had that. So,
yeah, so I'm like, okay, so Austin's left out of this vote, which was the saddest part for me. I'm like, okay, if you're going to vote me out, at least include Austin. But I knew they were doing this whole thing because they only wanted 3 people to take credit for the vote. And that was the only votes that were needed. But by not including Austin in this vote, you're isolating Austin. He has an idol. He's automatically making it to Final 4.
Yeah, and like Mike kind of knows he has an idol, so.
And then now Addie does not have Summer as an ally and hasn't since Final 10. Then you also have Austin's probably not going to fully trust any of the 3 of them anymore. So who knows what's going to happen in this game. And then Addie, even though she's in a 3, it's very clear that she's the 3rd because Mike and Derek have this close bond. So even if she makes it to Final 2, unfortunately, she does not have the respect of the jury. And then when I got voted out, she basically blamed the vote on me and was telling me that
by voting out you, Geneva, she effectively, I feel that she has lost every chance to win. It doesn't matter who she's sitting next to now. I think she loses.
And why do you think that?
I think that because, like we just mentioned, Summer, too many friends. And her friends happen to hate Addie. Mm-hmm. Austin, like, maybe, but they've made it clear time again. We'd rather vote for Mike, Derek, or Austin over you. We hate you, Addie. Mm-hmm. Mike and Derek, they played the same game. Mm-hmm. Even if Mike wasn't there, Derek would get credit for Mike's moves. And would and didn't Erica, like, in the last be like, I'm voting for you, Derek. Like, she like went up and she's like, you have my vote or something like that. So I don't think Addie has a path to win now that she has eliminated you. And even if she sat next to you, people would have to really hate you, Jen. I think you win. Like, I think you win. So right. I think Addie lost her shot to win a long time ago.
But she lost her chance at the most amount of votes that she could have gotten. Potentially.
Yeah.
If she were to make it to Final 2. Now, thank you so much. I definitely was the biggest threat. And there's no doubt about it. But even if you remember from that episode, I even deduced the theory that they were coming for Austin, even without Summer's info. So, I would have told Derek to play the idol on Austin anyway. It just was the great confirmation for Summer to write Austin's name on her wrist at that tribal and show it to me. I don't blame them for targeting me. I just think the timing was wrong for a lot of their games. I was never coming for Mike. And for Mike should be happy that I'd be coming for Derek because Derek's clearly the biggest threat for his game. So Mike now, because he took out a huge shield, might be very vulnerable in the future. So I don't really know if that was the best strategic move for Mike. Yeah, you get me out. But honestly, it was even mentioned on the after show. The best point to take me out is between 5 and 2. Because if you take me out at 3, that is clearly a baller move. Addie doing it, I wouldn't even care. I would have been like, props to you. Because, you know that, at this point, if I make it to the end, I have a huge shot at winning. Mm-hmm. 5, that's fine because you don't have to worry about Summer's jury threat. And then there were 2 idols that would be played. Someone has immunity. If I go in at 5, then it's there weren't many options to go, and I'm clearly the biggest target. So, that would have made sense. But if you're going to keep emphasizing a 5, how the 5 needs to stick together, how you all are playing honest and loyal games, and all this other stuff, and you don't want to appease to a jury, and then that's what you do.
And I think on a greater level, we can say good move, but probably it was a move. But we're we're all supposed to be friends here. I think you worked a long time with these people. I think there were friendships in there, and I would hope that y'all would want to be friends after the game. So for me, I just look at it most of all and I go, that's kind of disrespectful. Because you could have made the same move around later and it would have been right? More considerate of you and your feelings. They didn't even have to like blindside you necessarily, because they knew that Addie had the idol.
Yeah.
And they knew that like Austin probably had it.
Also, I'm like, why vote me out? What's the point of voting me out at Final 6 when you all know I don't have it?
If you do play an idol, Austin goes home because Summer voted for Austin, correct?
Yeah. Well, Summer voted for Summer would have gone home.
So they should have just told you.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do?
Nothing. There's nothing I could do.
And they explain it before the vote. They still have your they might still have your respect, because they're like, Geneva, we respect you. It's because I've seen this done before. Like, it's just to leave it to the vote and blindside you like that. Like, what you can't do anything. You can't do anything unless there's an idol. What are you going to scramble? So it's more respectful to be like, hi, Geneva, this is why we're doing this. And it's because we respect you and we love you as a game player, and we believe that you've played the best game, and that's why we're taking you out now, and we want to be honest with you about it. And I guarantee you would have felt way more better about it.
100%. 100%.
Because if they wanted to play semi-honest games, semi-like strategic games, you want to care about people like that.
I guess their supposed thoughts were that if I've been able to get myself out of the bottom so many times, they felt like at Final 6 I would be able to do that. But I don't really feel like I would have had the power agency.
See, I think oh, me too, Adrian. I wish I would have voted out Derek at the second tribal as soon as he revealed. He literally no, I wish I would have voted him out at the first. I think I tried to have a little too much fun at the beginning out of the gate, and I think if I would have calmed down and made more connections, I would have had a much longer shelf life. But back to where were we? I was saying how
voting me out with notice. That's what we were talking about.
I
don't know why the blind side was
your friendship at this point, your friendship and your respect as a juror, because you are one of the smartest people in this game. You're going to have one of the most intelligent questions. Your support on the jury means a lot. And I think treating you as such is important. I wish they would have done that. And I didn't always play that way. I haven't always played a very I've like blindside. Like, I will say my Syrvivor Syracuse game was not like respectful. Like, I totally told Aaron, I lied to Aaron to his face. I'm not proud of it, and I don't play that way anymore. But I can look out from the outside and be like, okay, like from now on, like let's be more caring about people's feelings, because I've been blindsided too often. I know how it feels. I don't like it. I don't like people after they go on my hex list, and the moment I learn witchcraft, I'm going to ruin their lives. So, yeah. So I think I'm excited to see you in Ponderosa, though, and and see how your opinions match up with the jury's opinions. Like, if you're on the same page. And I think the next tribal council, the 5, is going to be wacky.
Yeah,
I don't even know who wins immunity. If Summer wins immunity.
But that's the thing. I think there are 2 episodes left, finale part 1 and 2, and I think it'll be interesting to see how things play out, and really if voting me out was the best move for all 3 of their games. I think I get voting me out. I just think that the timing was wrong to assure that they have numbers when they need them most. Like, I really think that Mike cutting me around too soon. I think he cut me around too soon, or even 2 rounds too soon. I think Addie also knowingly knows that I had her back 100%. Her cutting me at 6 and then going to join a pair, I don't know, like the longevity of that. And I feel like at this point, because everyone is aware that the jury perceives her to be one way, she does make it to the end. It's because I feel like a lot of people feel that, they might be able to have a better shot at the end of the game than she would with the jury.
I'm interested to see what she has to say, because she had a lot to say to you about why she voted you out. So I think that's going to be important to see how she thinks she can fight her case, if she does indeed make it that far.
Yeah, I think it definitely will be interesting to see. Ultimately, there are a lot of things that went down personally between me and Addie, and that's also why there's so many added layers of complexity to why things happened the way they did, especially after the tribal when she voted me out. But I'm not going to go into details about that. But I want people to know that there's more to the story than what you see in an edit, and just to be definitely aware of that. Um, but Hannah, do you have any like final thoughts on this vote? Like strategically, like who do you think comes out in the best position from this? Do you think anyone does?
Summer is still here, so I think that Summer definitely comes out best position. I think Austin's in a bad position. Austin's in a position of what the fuck? We really just voted out Geneva? Fuck y'all. So I think that's spicy, but that's not good for him. And then we have
There's Addie, Mike, and Derek. I don't know.
I feel like Mike and Derek just being like, in this aftermath, they get to go around and be like, they're going around and they're, oh, we did this. We voted out Geneva because she was a big threat. We just made a big move. I feel like that's not good. That's not good. I want to say Austin comes out on top because he has the idol and he has a guaranteed spot to Final Four if he doesn't win immunity. And he might win immunity and then might be able to play that idol for somebody else. So I'd say that Austin right now and Summer, if she can finagle her way in there, have the best or in the best position right now. I think that the next vote could very easily be a Mike, Derek. Yeah, I think one of them might go.
I think one thing to also note is that by Austin being blindsided, now everyone has to give him an explanation of what happened. So there might have to be some apologies here and there. It'll be really interesting to see the aftermath of that vote, just because Austin and I were on the same analytical wavelength where we both knew that getting out Summer really was the best move in the game at that point because she had the huge jury and social threat. And she also did fairly well in challenges. You saw how close she came in that challenge at final, the loved ones visit. Like, she almost won that. So, like, she shouldn't be discounted.
Even if she wasn't a huge challenge beast, it doesn't matter. Anyone can pull it out when they're on the bottom. Anybody. So it's very random luck-based games. You cannot leave anything to chance. And if they would have flushed Austin's idol, if they just had Addie run to Austin, he would have played it. And then they would have it would have been an Austin Summer. But now, Derek and Mike, I think, are in trouble.
Yeah, I think that if their whole goal was to get me out and to get Austin to flush the idol, they should have.
I think they have votes.
They should have done more with that.
They have the votes with Addie, but they do not have the idol. They do not.
And she has the idol.
She has an idol. She's going to play it on herself. She's self-serving. She's been self-serving. She just voted you out. She, texts people, whatever, and doesn't apologize for it. She's going to do everything that she can for herself. She's not going to play an idol for the boys.
Right. And in the last episode, final 7, she did say, like at first I was coming in to make friends, but then I realized that's not going to happen. So I'm not here to make friends. So yeah. And we see that very clearly in this episode.
My God.
So,
wow. All right. But I guess that concludes this sad episode. This was my least favorite part of the game. I went, wow, this game keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Can it get any more worse? I think for me, the only way it could get worse is if Derek wins. That's my worst case scenario. If Derek or Summer win the game. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I can say is like, okay, this benefits Derek to get me out before I got him out, I guess. But other than that, I don't really feel like that helps him. And also, honestly, he has the numbers.
Derek's best move is to turn on Mike.
Yeah.
Is to cut the umbilical cord from the womb because he's like, Mike has just been feeding him this entire game, keeping him alive. The only way to prove to anyone that he's a self-sufficient, independent player is to cut ties with Mike.
Yep. And
What
he
he's
sees
playing
that
right
Mike.
now is loyalty. He's playing the GOAT. He's playing
Mm-hmm.
the GOAT, and Mike is leading him everywhere. He's not his own independent person, and he's never been.
And Mike's connected to everybody.
The only reason Derek has survived in this game is because he's been dragged around by other people, first by me and then by Mike. That's the only reason. The only reason he's here is because other people wanted him to be.
And
So
if I wanted
himself,
Mike, if I wanted Derek out so badly, I wouldn't have played an idol on him at Final 9.
well, not necessarily, but if you wanted, but you were, if it's not even that you wanted Derek out so badly, it's that you were loyal to the 5 to the end, to 5, and they could count on that, and they knew that you did not have the idol. They should have had Austin flush it here and vote out Summer, and then knowing that there's only one more idol left in the game and Addie has it, they vote out you.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Because Addie's already proven that she was gonna vote you out. Like yeah,
because they got the confirmation because she came to them. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens next and who prevails, right?
I don't know. Maybe we'll be surprised.
Yep, absolutely. And you can follow Syrvivor Syracuse on Twitter at Syrvivor_Qs. You can also follow them on Instagram for more information and content. You can follow Hannah on Twitter for more fun tweets, maybe some memes. I don't know what she's going to tweet, but who knows? Be sure to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content. You can follow me at PeaceLoveJen on Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to me on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for those who were in the comments. Thanks for those who supported me and Hannah while we were on the season. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see you at some time. I don't know when. I don't know if I'm not sure if we'll talk about
I don't know if we'll cover the finale. We might just enjoy it.
Yes, but if for some reason there's weird demand for that, then let us know. But
I think we should definitely cover the what is it? The final rites.
Oh, rites of passage. Yeah,
we could get Mitch and Jack on for that. The rites of passage, because I think we should get the whole cast, everybody else. Like,
what is your reactions to what those 3 had to say about?
Because I've been waiting for a long time to be like, what kind of shit are they trying to say about me? You want to go?
It'll be interesting. So maybe we'll do something maybe on the rites of passage, but not necessarily on the finale. But thank you all so much for supporting us, and we hope you have a lovely week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.